What's up guys, I'm BTC, brand new patch on the live version of the game today. It brings armor changes and a brand new map. For the hero balance changes, there wasn't anything for one specific hero. There was more of a general change for how they handle health, shields, and armor. And it says, non-recoverable health, shields, and armor are now consumed before recoverable health, shields, and armor. Let me quickly demonstrate how this is going to work. For most heroes in the game, it's going to have little effect, you probably won't even notice it. But for 3 characters, it's a much more significant impact. Part of it is a little bit of a buff, other part is a nerf, and I think overall the nerf is going to be more impactful than the buff part. And I'm talking about Zarya, Symmetra, and Zenyatta, and that's because they have shields naturally, and previously what would happen is that whenever you got armor from Brigitte, for example, it would put the armor underneath the shields, and you would save it for later use, basically. And with this change, it puts the armor on the top of the shields, so now any damage you take gets taken away by the armor instead of the shields. For the repair pack, this is a buff because the repair pack armor lasts for such a short amount of time, it would basically completely go away, but like you would never go through your shields before you actually got to use the armor because the repair pack armor lasted for such a short amount of time. But with the rally, yes, it did get changed from permanent to 30 seconds, but even that 30 seconds is still a significant amount of time. That's the entire duration of a fight. So you want to have that armor underneath the shields in kind of reserve. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it kind of situation. So the Zenyatta and the Zarya would always have that armor underneath their shields. Now, if they took significant damage and they lost all of their shields and it started chipping into that armor, it would give them that little extra protection. But in the case that they never actually got all the way down and never had to use that armor, even if it just goes away after 30 seconds, that's fine. Again, it's better to have it and not use it than to need it and not have it. So this change for the rally is effectively a nerf for those characters that have shields, but the repair pack is a buff. It's a minor buff and a little bit bigger of a deal for the nerf. Overall, I think this is a nerf. And because people are going to ask, no, this is not going to get rid of GOATS comp. It's still the strongest, most dominant comp the game has ever had. And it's not going anywhere because Blizzard keeps changing the wrong things. I made a video about it yesterday, you can go and check it out. I broke down all the issues, all the things that they've been changing and why they don't work, and what they need to change to actually finally deal with GOATS comp and weaken it to the point where it's not going to be in every single match. This armor change is yet another nerf to Brigitte, and it's going to make her even worse outside of GOATS comp, but she's still required in GOATS comp, and GOATS comp is still the best. None of that's changing. All Blizzard is doing is just making Brigitte worse and worse with every single change. The main thing with this patch is, of course, the brand new map Paris. This is an Assault 2 capture point map. I know not too many people like those, but that's what we got. So the map looks really, really good. We'll just start by saying that. But there are some issues with it. The first is that the invisible ceiling is really, really low on this map. In fact, playing as Pharah is a really bad idea because, let me show you over here. So when you go into this area, this is going to be the main choke point right here. This is where a lot of the opening fight is going to happen. So you have your attackers, they're going to come in from the left or from the right over here, and then you have to push through this spot right here. So you're going to have defenders that are right here, but most likely you're going to end up having a lot of defenders up here as well. And from this spot, you can have characters like Zarya and Moira who can easily hit a Pharah who is at the maximum height for the map. And that's a problem. So when you don't even need hit scan to hit the Pharah in the sky, it just makes the character really weak. Also, I want to point out a couple of issues right here. So when you're trying to go over here, it looks like you can go over this building, but you can't because once more, there's that invisible ceiling that's going to prevent you, so you can't get over it with any character, Diva or Hammond or Widowmaker or any of that. You just can't, even though it looks like you can, and I think that's going to be really frustrating for a lot of players. Also on here, this is a flank route, but the problem is the side or the top of the roof here is all on a slant, which means that you can't stand there. You're just going to slide off. And so you don't actually have a good perch if you're trying to play as a Hanzo or a Widowmaker or any of that sort of stuff. You're just going to slide right off. And for the other characters, it means that you have to use your mobility, whatever it happens to be, your ability, to get over here. But once you drop down, you're now on the low ground, the defenders are up there, and you're actually going to be at a disadvantage over here. You can pretty much ignore all the stuff on the left. All of that is pretty much useless. I don't think anyone has any reason to actually go over there. There is a spawn room over there for the attackers on the second point. But for the most part, you're just going to go right through this right here. And then, I mean, you can try to come over here, but I don't know. It just... There are some strategies that you can use with Mei, like where she can put the ice wall up and just kind of boost your whole team up onto this roof, and then you can just slide down. But for the most part, everyone's going to be going through that choke point. This is the main defending area. This is the second one, and Pharah just probably is not going to be good for this map at all, because the first point you have the low skybox, the low invisible ceiling on the skybox, but for the second point it's all in buildings, and it's also going to be bad. So then you can come around here. There is a large health pack in there, and then you move over to the second point. Now the second point is wide open. This is a massive, massive area for the second capture point. So you can come in through the middle here, and then this is the capture area right here. But look, you have all of that stuff on the left, you have all of that stuff on the right. You can go through there, you can go through there, or when you come out through this side, like you can choose to go in through that entrance, you can choose to go in through this entrance over here, or you can go all the way around the building. There are so many different ways to approach this second point. This is going to be a nightmare for the defenders on the second point, because where do you defend? Like, you can't just defend on one of these sides, because then they just go in through the other one, and they're going to have lots of objects and walls and the statue and stuff in order to block the attacks. So this is probably going to be the most common spot for people to defend on the second point, because then you can see them coming through the middle, through the sides, and you can just kind of attack them there. But I think the better spot, and I discussed this in my full breakdown with skill, is going to be right here. This is closer to their spawn point, yes, but this has much more defensible positions. You can defend this choke here, you can defend this right here, you can even knock them off into the water if you need to. If you hack this health pack, then your team gets a steady supply of that. So you could put a Reinhardt or Orisa right here, and you can just kind of defend this spot. Defending this location is significantly better than trying to defend in here. And also, the thing is, if you do get a team wipe right here, your defending team gets completely destroyed, the attackers still have to run all the way into here in order to start capping. And in that amount of time, most of your team is going to be respawned, or at least pretty close to. So they might end up getting like one tick on it, but you'll be able to mount your counterattack and do a full 6-on-6 attack and try to defend it and kill them and get rid of them. And then once you have the point defended and all the enemies are gone, you can come back out here and start it again. You can defend this much more defensible position and hold that choke point. And if your team gets wiped, well, then you just have, you know, whatever. You can have your team start trickling out if you want in order to stall, or you can just wait for the full 6 again. But defending in here is just really bad. And once more, this is bad for Pharah because obviously, like, there's some high ceilings, but there's lots of stuff in the way, and it's just not a very good map for Pharah at all. This is like one of the worst maps for Pharah, and that's kind of bad because the way this map is designed, it is extremely good for Goats comp. And one of the common counters, one of the best counters for Goats comp is a Pharah Mercy. But if you're running a Pharah on this map, it's not going to work, because if even the Zarya can hit you at max height, then it's just not that effective. So this is a really good looking map. It does have some issues with it. I wish they would have fixed it. They didn't. I know I wasn't the only one that mentioned the invisible ceiling up here, that it's way too low, but they decided not to change it for whatever reason. They decided to keep this as the sliding surface. I don't know. I think, again, it's a good-looking map. There are definitely some issues with it. I think some people are going to find this to be a really, really frustrating map, kind of on the lines of Temple of Anubis or Hanamura. So, there you go, guys. Brand new map, armor, shield changes. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. Also, come hang out in my Discord server and my Twitch live stream. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see what kind of cool VIP rewards you can get, check the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.